Hey guys, welcome back to Chronicles of a Therapist. I am Cass. I wanted to explore some things that recently happened to me. And so here we are. I was working with somebody in a training capacity. And this is somebody who I've known for a while, right? And we had an interchange. And essentially it was that I was limited in my committedness because there were certain things that I was not doing. And the reason why I wasn't doing these things, and particularly me going on vacation and not working out, was because there was nowhere to work out on vacation. We were in an Airbnb. And it made me, like, our interchange and our interaction sparked something that was like, it pissed me off. But it pissed me off more because it hurt my feelings, because what was said about me not being able to be an entrepreneur because I have 3 jobs. And that was upsetting because the reason I have so many jobs is, one, little known to most, the mental health field don't pay well. It just doesn't. Like, you would think having a master's and helping people with their emotional health and all of that doesn't necessarily pay the most. It doesn't. You would think you're a first responder, all those things. And unbeknownst to most, those who make a lot of money within the field usually have their own private practice. And what your own private practice means, you now decide how much you work as well as how much you set your prices for. And so I think what was interesting or triggering for me is the idea or thought like you're incapable of being an entrepreneur, because that is something that I'm working on this year, is getting a private practice, which is something I never wanted to do. But like I said in a couple previous episodes, like, the reason to get this independent, I thought it was going to be more money. It's not. But having a private practice will get me where I need to be. But I wanted to kind of talk through, what does entrepreneurship look like? Because I believe that everybody who is an entrepreneur creates their own destiny and journey. And every entrepreneur I know understands the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows. And most entrepreneurs I know, some of them did a soft or a hard jump where they just quit their job and just did it. But most I know are still doing something, because until whatever that said service or business is pops, they got to still provide for themselves as well as that business. And so I wanted to just kind of talk about, like, as an entrepreneur, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are creating a service for people, you have to be mindful of how we treat or cater to people. I think that if you are, and the first set of people I think about are people who are in the cosmetology realm. So you do hair, you do nails, you cut hair, you do makeup. That is a skill, that is a license, especially those of your esthetician, especially those who are licensed in whatever that craft is. Like, you have said to the state of Ohio, I will be the person to service these people. And there is a level of being able to own up to, I believe that I'm good at what I do, so I should be paid for X, Y, and Z. I believe every entrepreneur, and I have managed artists, I have done plays, all of the likes. I am definitely a person who I have paid for stuff probably higher than most people. I have paid musicians to play in bands, and because I have an appreciation for people who provide services, right? And so I think it's important, if you are an upcoming entrepreneur, to think about what your drive is, especially if you're customer service based. What does that look like? What do you feel your worth is? And not only that, how much are you putting into that said business, right? And the comments that were made from somebody that person was, it hurt my feelings. And I think it hurt my feelings more because of we have been working together for a while, and I think if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be honest about what you're doing for people, and every entrepreneur has done free work. Every entrepreneur has done free work. Whether you are marketing or trying to get something new, you have done free work. We all know an entrepreneur who has done some free stuff. A pop up, hey, I got this special going on because you're trying to surge, right? But I think it's important when you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, and I am at this stage in my life. Like I said, I'm trying to do a private practice, but it made me really think about what that looks like. And I never want to be the type of entrepreneur who feels like their client is they're better than their client. And even in the realm of, and I'll share this, I worked in a private practice last year, and it felt very much like it was the first private practice that I've worked in where I got paid per client, which is retarded. Like the concept is, because if you know anything about mental health, people cancel. So how am I a full-time employee and it's not my fault that people cancel? Like, we are in a profession that people are sick, people don't want to, people get in accidents, they got kids, whatever the case may be. I get penalized, but I'm here to do the service. So I think when I'm thinking about all the private practices that I have worked for and the ebbs and flows and the goods and bads, I think about who I want to be as an entrepreneur. And I definitely always want to be the type who is open to speaking with their clientele, as well as understanding that you do have to have standards. And I appreciate standards, because if my fee is $150, that's the fee. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be $150 for Sam, Sue, and Carol. It's going to be $150, right? And so I think where people struggle, and all of us who have friends who do stuff, we get family discounts. Case in point, I got a massage earlier today, and I have been going to this lady. She is amazing. I would like to bring her, because when I think about entrepreneurship, I think about people who understand the hustle. I think about people who are not one-waved with their craft, whatever it is. This is a person who has her own private, does corporate stuff, she has embodied the ability to meet the need and do what she loves. So I said that to say, I thought about what that looks like as far as my interaction with this other person. And it literally made me think about every entrepreneur I know, and it made me wonder, is this how other entrepreneurs are looking at clients? Like, are you supposed to tell somebody that they're not committed because they didn't do what you wanted them to do? And the reason why is because she works a lot of jobs and the hours aren't ideal. And most people who are full-time entrepreneurs, you make your own schedule. You decide what that schedule looks like for you. So for somebody who is working 3 jobs, and you know this already before you sign them on as a client, I would assume, and maybe that's where I was wrong, I would assume that you would then say, okay, how can I fit the need? Because I have signed you up, and now this is your outcome that you want. And so, yeah, it definitely made me think about what the entrepreneurship relationship looks like. And I think the reality also is, when I think about being an entrepreneur, I also think about becoming an adult, because once you cross over to being an adult, you have to have full responsibility of yourself and your children if you got children, your spouse if you're married, right? And so I thought about that parallel, if that's what an entrepreneurship is. You have to delve into the dark side of evolving. And I wanted to kind of pick the brains of those who are budding entrepreneurs. What is it that is important to you? I ask y'all sitting here. What do you guys think? I have 2 entrepreneurs in here with me, so I'm gonna just pick their brains what do you guys think is an important part of being an entrepreneur?
Go ahead.
Structure.
Structure. So
Mastering your morning.
Structure and mastering your morning. What do you mean by that?
Most people, decide they can wake up whenever they want. get to start their day whenever. So if you can get done in the morning way more than most people do in an entire day. If you wake up, you know what I mean, reply to those emails that just been sitting there, get that work done that's been pending, reply to, your clients and all that.
Yeah, that's a good tip. So Ed's tip is mastering your morning. So being able to, and it's interesting because I have seen people talk about that, like those who are entrepreneurs getting up super early and just knocking out stuff. Makes sense. Excuse me. So that's a good tip for a budding entrepreneur. Mastering your morning and structure. So basically, that is just what you go by. Like your morning always looks like I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and that's what keep you structured. I like it. What about you?
I would say consistency.
Consistency.
The reason I bring consistency up, and it sounds very similar to what Ed said, but I'm speaking more to the long term of it. Right. This is not something that happens in the first year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. A lot of times, almost every time, it's not that way. You know what I mean? The overnight success is 10 years, 15 years.
Wow.
So and that's why generally they say that most businesses fail in the first 5 years, no matter what industry you're in.
Yeah.
Because after the first 3, if you don't see it to be feasible, it's easy to shut the doors.
Ah.
Right? So that level of consistency is what I say is. I've been doing music for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So in one capacity or another. And I've only been able to have music and music alone, whatever capacity it's in, but have that sustain my life so much because I don't have a plan B.
Makes sense.
So you got to stay consistent on the path, whatever that is.
That's very commendable.
My biggest piece of advice.
That was heavy. That was very, very heavy. So consistency in that not burning out. That's what I hear. Not burning out, not giving up, not continuing, having your morning structure and just riding it out and not having a plan B. And I think not having a plan B is a bigger key than people realize. Because if this is it, this all I'm doing, this is it, ain't no nothing else. It's gotta happen. I'm not going back to work. I'm not about to sit in nobody's office and just sit there. And so I like it. And I needed to hear that. I appreciate y'all for sharing that. And these are some of the best in their field. So, and they've been doing it. And so the idea to think that any business is going to happen overnight is crazy. And even me beginning to embark on being a private practice owner, I have been doing the work, and this is one reason why I didn't want to have a private practice, but I also understand that because of my skill set, I should get paid effectively. And if that means getting my own and having a morning routine and getting up early and being consistent and knowing that there is no plan B, that's what I need to do. So I thought I should share that with you guys because I feel like a lot of times in the beginning of the year, everybody has the idea of being an entrepreneur. Everybody does. It's like that New Year's resolution. Yeah, I'm going to start doing, whatever, at the top of the year. And so I wanted to, one, be honest and open about my own experience with a fellow entrepreneur and then my own transparency as we take this journey, because I do believe it's a journey, because it is the idea of trial and error. I think entrepreneurship is a trial and error, and Ed would have never known that he needed to get up in the morning to do that until he wasn't, and he was getting up properly at like 1 or 2 and like, yep, I'm gonna start. You know what I mean? So that trial and error is important. So I thought I'd give you guys some tidbits, and I appreciate Ed and Fred, FC on the Beat, for their input in my podcast. Also, if you would like to talk more about entrepreneurship and, talk about what your struggles are, what you see, what you don't see, and or give tips, I would love to explore with you guys. So you can find me on Instagram at CNShep. underscore Chronicles, as well as on TikTok, just Cass COT. And reminder to allow your passion to propel your purpose. I will catch you guys in the next round. See you later, guys.